Tom Cruise just flipped Hollywood on its head, and no, it's not because he dangled off another skyscraper out of nowhere. The man who once jumped on Oprah's couch has jumped into the messiest divorce in Tinseltown history. That's right, Tom Cruise is defending Keith Urban against Nicole Kidman's explosive claims. Wait, Tom's siding with Keith against his own ex-wife? What kind of multiverse scandal are we living in? Is Cruise Hollywood's new truth teller? Or just desperate for another headline? Grab your popcorn, because this isn't gossip, it's a cinematic plot twist unfolding in real life. And trust me, it's messy. Hollywood scandals are like fast food, greasy, messy. And everyone pretends they don't want it while secretly devouring every last bite. And just when you thought the Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban divorce couldn't possibly outdo itself, guess who parachutes into the chaos? Tom freaking Cruise. Yes, Mission Impossible Tom. The same guy who once screamed on Oprah's couch like a teenager at a BTS concert. And this time, he's not dangling off a jet plane, he's dangling his reputation by defending none other than Keith Urban against Nicole's nuclear claims. So, let's rewind this messy soap opera. Nicole Kidman has been painting Keith Urban as the ultimate nightmare husband. According to her, Keith wasn't just battling fame, he was battling himself. And she was the collateral damage. Think screaming matches, disappearing acts, and drug binges that make a rockstar tour look tame. Nicole claims she stayed silent for years, putting on a brave face at red carpets while suffering behind the scenes. Finally, she cracked, filed for divorce, and boom, the world got its latest Hollywood tragedy. Now, normally this is where the tabloids would settle in for a long feast. But then Tom Cruise decided, you know what? My name hasn't been in the headlines for at least 5 minutes, let me fix that. Out of absolutely nowhere, Cruise defended Keith, dismissing Nicole's allegations as overblown and classic Nicole. In his words, she's not the victim, she's the chaos. And if that sounds like a low blow, well, it is. Remember, Nicole and Tom were once the glittering golden couple of the 90s before their marriage imploded in a haze of Scientology rumors and jealousy whispers. Fast forward 20 years and suddenly Tom is acting like Keith's knight in shining armor, publicly calling Nicole manipulative, dramatic, and addicted to scandal. Cue social media meltdown. The second Cruise's comments dropped, the internet did what it does best, split into warring factions. On one side, you had the hashtag Team Nicole Army fans calling her brave for finally exposing Keith's demons. On the other, the hashtag Team Keith crowd cheer Cruise for exposing the truth about Nicole's so-called victim act. And somewhere in the middle, thousands of people just tweeting, Tom, literally no one asked you. But Cruise didn't stop. Oh no. He doubled down, insisting Keith was being unfairly crucified. According to him, Nicole has a pattern of manipulating the public, and she's done it before. The implication: their divorce back in 2001 wasn't his fault after all, it was hers. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Keith and Nicole anymore. It was about Tom rewriting his own messy history and dragging his ex-wife through the mud in the process. And here's the kicker: insiders claim Tom and Keith have been quietly bonding behind the scenes for months. Allegedly, they've been swapping war stories over dinners, venting about how Nicole played both of them. One so-called source even claimed Tom sees himself and Keith, two men victimized by the same woman, now standing shoulder to shoulder against her. Whether that's true or just pure spin, it adds a delicious layer of conspiracy to this Hollywood meltdown. Hollywood has always been messy, but this is next-level chaos. Just when we thought Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's divorce had already delivered enough scandal to fuel a year's worth of tabloid covers, along comes Tom Cruise. Yes, that Tom Cruise charging into the spotlight like he's auditioning for a role. Called defender of the guilty, out of nowhere, the man who's made a career out of impossible missions has taken on a brand new one, protecting Keith Urban from Nicole's devastating accusations. And the way he's doing it? By ripping into his own ex-wife. You literally can't make this stuff up. Let's rewind, because the drama didn't start here. Nicole has been airing out some serious dirty laundry about Keith, and none of it is flattering. We're talking about claims of violent temper tantrums, all-night benders, and the kind of emotional warfare you'd expect from a toxic HBO drama. Not a couple that once strolled red carpets looking like the picture of perfection. According to Nicole, her life with Keith was less fairy tale and more psychological thriller. She's framed herself as a silent sufferer, the wife who endured years of torment before finally saying, enough is enough. That alone was explosive enough to send gossip blogs into overdrive. But then Tom Cruise decided the world needed his opinion, because of course he did. And instead of staying neutral, instead of quietly sipping tea on the sidelines, Tom came in swinging. He dismissed Nicole's accusations as nothing more than exaggerated dramatics. He even claimed that Nicole thrives on scandal and creates chaos wherever she goes, imagine that the man famous for jumping on Oprah's couch and feuding with studios is suddenly branding Nicole Kidman the drama queen. The irony practically writes itself. Naturally, the internet lost its collective mind. Within hours, hashtags like hashtag Team Nicole, hashtag Team Keith, and the brutally honest hashtag Tom Mind Your Business were trending. One camp was furious that Tom dared to undermine a woman's claims of abuse. The other camp applauded him for exposing Nicole's manipulative side. And then there was the middle ground, people tweeting things like, Tom Cruise inserting himself into this drama is the most Tom Cruise thing Tom Cruise could possibly do. But here's where it gets juicier. Cruise didn't just casually defend Keith. He went on the offensive. He suggested that Nicole destroyed not only her marriage to Keith, but also their marriage to decades ago. He implied that behind her glamorous red carpet smile is someone who knows how to pull strings and spin narratives to her advantage. In other words, Tom basically said, don't blame Keith, blame Nicole. She's been playing the same game for years, and if that wasn't enough, whispers are swirling that Tom and Keith have been in contact for months, secretly bonding over their Nicole problem. Anonymous insiders claim the two men have been comparing notes, venting frustrations, and building what some are calling the most unexpected bromance in Hollywood. According to one alleged source, Tom feels Keith is being unfairly crucified by the public, and he refuses to let Nicole rewrite history. Now, whether you believe that or not, one thing's certain, Tom Cruise has officially taken the scandal from a bitter divorce to a three-way Hollywood war. And the battleground? The court of public opinion, where reputations are shredded faster than you can say Scientology. The second Tom Cruise threw himself into this mess, the scandal mutated into something bigger, darker, and juicier. What started as a divorce turned into a full-blown Hollywood civil war complete with leaked evidence, anonymous insiders, and a Twitter jury ready to convict anyone within reach. Suddenly, this wasn't just Nicole versus Keith, it was Nicole versus Keith, versus Tom Cruise, versus the entire internet. Enter the so-called receipts. Tabloids began splashing headlines about Nicole's alleged private diary entries. According to these reports, she kept notes about screaming matches, shattered glass, nights Keith disappeared on drug binges, and bruises she supposedly covered with makeup before stepping onto the red carpet. One particularly spicy claim? That staffers whispered about Keith sneaking around with a much younger musician. Yes, Maggie Baugh's name found its way back into the conversation like a bad sequel no one asked for. But here's the twist. Almost immediately, insiders tied to Cruise started pushing back hard, insisting the diary entries were fabricated. Nicole has always been a master actress, even off camera. One alleged friend of Tom said, "This isn't her diary, it's her script, ouch. If there's one thing Nicole doesn't need, it's her Oscar-winning skills being used against her in real life." And just when fans thought it couldn't get spicier, audio clips started circulating online supposedly capturing a heated argument between Nicole and Keith in the recording. Nicole accuses him of humiliating her, while Keith slams the door and mutters about not taking her lies anymore. Was it real? Was it deep-faked? Nobody knew. But that didn't stop Twitter detectives from analyzing every sound like it was a Zapruder film. Meanwhile, memes exploded across the internet. One viral post showed Nicole with the caption, "Writes diary entries, like a Taylor Swift breakup song." Another had Tom on Oprah's couch with "Keith is innocent" plastered across his face. Suddenly, this wasn't just a scandal, it was entertainment gold with millions glued to every twist. But behind the memes, there was real backlash brewing. Advocacy groups slammed Cruise for siding with Keith and undermining Nicole's claims of abuse. Hashtags like hashtag cancel Cruise started gaining traction, with activists calling for boycotts of his upcoming films. One critic even said, "Tom Cruise just did more damage to his reputation with one quote than the Mummy reboot ever did." And honestly, that's saying a lot. Still, Cruise didn't flinch. In fact, he allegedly told friends that Nicole deserved what she got, turning what could have been a quiet PR disaster into one of the most savage ex-husband moves in Hollywood history. With every word, he dug the triangle deeper. Nicole painted as a victim, Keith painted as the accused, and Tom painting himself as the ultimate instigator. So here we are, Nicole bruised, Keith accused, and Tom Cruise swinging in like Hollywood's most uninvited superhero. But the million-dollar question is, who's really telling the truth? Is Nicole the brave survivor Hollywood tried to silence? Or the ultimate actress playing her biggest role yet? Is Keith the monster behind closed doors, or the victim of a smear campaign? And Tom hero, hypocrite, or just craving the spotlight? Drop your verdict in the comments, smash that like button, and hit subscribe because trust me, this saga isn't ending here. The next bombshell. It's closer than you think. Still, Cruise didn't flinch. In fact, he allegedly told friends that Nicole deserved what she got, turning what could have been a quiet PR disaster into one of the most savage ex-husband moves in Hollywood history. With every word, he dug the triangle deeper. Nicole painted as a victim, Keith painted as the accused, and Tom painting himself as the ultimate instigator. So here we are, Nicole bruised, Keith accused, and Tom Cruise swinging in like Hollywood's most uninvited superhero. But the million-dollar question is, who's really telling the truth? Is Nicole the brave survivor Hollywood tried to silence? Or the ultimate actress playing her biggest role yet? Is Keith the monster behind closed doors, or the victim of a smear campaign? And Tom hero, hypocrite, or just craving the spotlight? Drop your verdict in the comments, smash that like button, and hit subscribe because trust me, this saga isn't ending here. The next bombshell, it's closer than you think.